Namaste and welcome back to my channel Indigo Angel. Welcome if you're new, welcome if you're just joining me again. Thank you to all my returning subscribers, and thank you to those of you who continue to show me love and support, and those of you who are signed up on my Patreon. Namaste, I love you guys so much. But yes, I'm making a video today to have a little bio-spiritual, energetic conversation with you guys about what we have going on in bioregenesis, because we have some really cool stuff going on right now. Yeah, it's just it's constantly always evolving. And speaking of evolving, that's kind of what we're focusing on right now, is the evolution of the Merkaba structure and how you can utilize its evolution for more detailed and get a lot more out of your visualizations for your energetic growth into the 15-dimensional time matrix, the 15-dimensional Rishi identity level body that we are beginning to access, that many of us are beginning to access. And probably have been all along, just now we're putting some type of foundational structural teaching behind what we've all been intuitively been doing all along, right? So it's really cool what we have going on right now. And yeah, so I just wanted to jump on and let you all know that if you are working on bioregenesis, if you are working on these visualizations, you are really going into some serious galactic energies. This is all about quantum cognition. This is all about being a pioneer of ancient pre-Atlantean technologies. In fact, we do have a lot of visualizations, new visualization techniques that are coming up into November. So the one that I'm going to be dropping on Patreon today is, well, it'll probably be tonight, so you might get these videos first, but then later tonight you'll see that I put this video up. But I will have the breakdown of the Merkaba vehicle. Okay. So I will have the breakdown of the Merkaba phases and building of the Merkaba vehicle and how it goes from a 6-dimensional to a 15-dimensional Rahunta phase Merkaba structure. And I will be dropping the techniques that follow those teachings. So that will be the Maharic Quick Seal and also the Tribal Shield activation. And the Tribal Shield activation was something that I briefly talked about on my last Galactic Energy update, but I will be getting into more detail about how you're supposed to utilize the 12 Sons and how you're supposed to actually go about creating inner Earth Q sites, which are where you're creating a 12-dimensional Maharic current in specific planetary gate locations. So I will be getting into that specific activation on my Patreon. For bioregenesis for November, I'm hoping that I get all of these techniques out, and I am currently looking for someone who has the skills to possibly make these techniques in these visualizations come to life. I would need a very skilled graphic designer to do this because these techniques, I feel, would coincide with a very nice visual to help people better to be able to grasp the visualizations. But essentially, yes, so I am looking for somebody who has very good graphic design skills. So if that's you, please reach out to me and contact me. But the techniques that we will be doing will be the Maharic Quick Seal, the Tribal Shield activation. Those two I'm hoping to get up on Patreon tonight. But then from there, we're going to have creating a Q zone, and we're going to go over the sacred salutations. Merkaba salutations, the Emerald Awakening, the Ki Rasha activation, awakening the flame, initiating the Amethyst Awakening. That one is going to be so cool. I cannot wait to get that one out. I'm not even kidding you. It's going to be off the chain. The Merkaba Trinity induction, and then how to create your own Rishi Merkaba. And that one is kind of going to be like the same as the Maharic Quick Seal, but they will coincide to one another. But essentially, yes, I'm very excited to get these techniques out for you guys. The sacred salutations, This is said to be the ancient Muse and the Lemurian guardian races that ran these activations. So when I say these are pre-Atlantean technologies, I mean that they are like Lemurian technologies. So this is really dialing you in to activate that Maharata current, okay? And the tribal shield each day to conduct these sacred solar and lunar salutations and rites each morning and evening. And this is a ritual that will coincide to the electrical magnetic spin and the Merkaba spin. Okay, so this is really dialing you in to the natural flows of your Merkaba vehicle in accordance to the actual energetic happening, and also in accordance to the correct hours of the sun and the daylight in the daytime that these electrical happenings are happening. It's kind of like following the wave and doing visualization and ritual in accordance to the coherency of the alignment with the sun and the moon. So that's what's so cool about it. And I've honestly just started doing these myself, so I'm going to be giving you guys more feedback about how, you know, this is working for me as I go as well. Yeah, so I'm really excited to get this new material up on Patreon, and I just wanted to address any concerns because I know some of you had this question, and one of the questions was about the pineal induction, and it was about, you know, how do you know if you've inducted too many symbols and if you can burn out from this. So I just want to say, for one, a burnout technically shouldn't happen. So your higher self is always guiding you. Your higher self is always prompting you to the next step of everything in your reality and in your consciousness, period. It's advanced by an 8 to 9 year evolution of knowing. So for one, always fall back on that reliance and that inner guidance that is guiding you to induct specific symbols, okay? But one thing you want to pay attention to is the amount of electricity in the body. So if you are already in a high electrical state, which means maybe you have been fasting or you haven't ate enough food, enough like protein, like vegans and vegetarians and things of that nature, you're going to have a lot higher electricity in the body. So you want to pay attention to how electrical you are. If you're really, really electrical, you're going to want to do some grounding. You're definitely going to want to ground more prior to inducting this specific symbol encoding, especially if you're just inducting a ton of symbols. You definitely want to practice discernment. And you definitely want to really make sure that you're connecting on a resonant tone. Okay, so I just wanted to state how the mechanics actually work so you can better understand how it may affect you. Okay, so each symbol that you induct will break down mathematically and geometrically, and ultimately it will break down into a primal substance, because all things come back to that base structure, which are the actual units of consciousness. Okay, so the units of consciousness are called the Partiki units, and this is the smallest building blocks of matter. These are actual omnipolar points of fixed vibration, and the omnipolar means that all possibilities of polarity exist within it. And so on the level of primal substance, all symbol encoding has the possibility of all polarities and the responses there within. Okay, everything in this world comes back to an omnipolar state. Everything carries the responses of the possible polarities within it. So within that omnipolar state, there is sound vibration forming, what is called an interdimensional tritonal wave. Okay, a tritone wave is composed of 3 subvariations: a bass tone, an overtone, and a resonant tone. The resonant tone will remain as the core vibration through which the bass tone and the overtone will reunite through internal fusion. The connection to the resonant tone when deciding to induct a symbol will be your inner guide in determining your light body's response to that symbol. So if you feel there is resistance in the symbol that you choose, then this is not of the resonant tone. So you really have to start breaking down and paying attention to your response factors in your body. It's kind of like placing your spiritual body up on a pedestal, placing your emotional body up on a pedestal. I know that may seem like the opposite of unity consciousness, but there are processes in the evolution of your consciousness, of your spiritual body, that your awareness completely becomes 100% about your own spiritual body, your own energetic body. So tuning into that, tuning into your response factors on a subtlety nature has to become your priority. Okay, and the more that becomes a priority, the more that reading the resonant tone in anything that you do becomes your most trusted intuition in all things. Okay, so as you induct more symbol encodes, you'll rely on the resonant tones. As you maybe also be able to begin accessing more dimensional aspects of yourself. And so this is when fear will come up. More fear will come up as you do start inducting more symbols, as you do start working through more of your spiritual structures and anatomy and dimensional aspects of yourself, because you're going through a very deep clearing process of deprogramming belief systems. Because in between each dimensional layer of self is more density, more seals, more suppression to have been cleared. And this is generational programming. This is societal programming. This is parental programming. This is ancestral programming. This is basically any and everything that you've ever been taught. This is the frequency fences, the gender manipulation, the polarity reversals, the psychotronic warfare. This is like, the more that you get into bioregenesis, the more that you get into bio-spiritual healing, the more that you realize that we are basically in like a World War III spiritual confinement camp, and you are basically clearing miraculously within through the mental, through the emotional, and the spiritual, through your free will of those bodies and the integrity of those bodies. And you are rebuilding your core strength, your core structures, your core foundations. And that is the process of ascension. Ascension is an intense process of stripping away all the parts of yourself to get to the core template, to get to your Kathara, and to get to the gateway of yourself that manifests from the core of the access points of when consciousness emerges in your body. Okay? Yes, so you are just completely stripping away everything and getting to those base manifestation templates, so to speak. Okay, so it's all about claiming sovereignty here. It's all about claiming sovereignty at the deepest core level of your spiritual body, of your light body, the base manifestation template, the first level of the light body, the Kathara grid. Okay, and claiming sovereignty here, putting a flag in it and claiming it because it's yours to program in any which way you choose. Okay, stripping away all of the veils of disillusion, stripping away all of the veils of distortion after distortion after distortion, and just removing that, clearing it, obliterating it. The more that you embody photonic energy, photonic light, it obliterates these aspects of yourself within. And so, yes, the more that you pineal induct spiritual symbols and coding, the more that you are going to have to look deeper within at these particular things. And this is when fear will continue to present. Fear will continue to show up again and again, time and again, for you to continue to clear that within. And you decide how far you want to go. You decide how far you want to take your understanding into higher consciousness. You are the master manifester, the master at all things, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally within you. And so I say, it's a beautiful process, really. Okay, so there's a lot of things that go into in pineal inducting symbols. So another thing that I wanted to address was what to look for as far as your spiritual goals, because honestly, I don't think there's, my personal opinion is, I don't feel there's any symbol that you can induct that's going to truly harm your energetic body, especially if you are working with the techniques like the Maharic seal and strengthening your Maharata current, your Kundalini current, your Kundalini, your entire biosphere, your entire hologram. If you are constantly working with that and visualizing, you're building the core strength, that it doesn't really matter what you induct, because if there's something you induct that is an incoherent frequency that does not align mathematically or geometrically to any type of encoding, you're going to sense that resistance and you're going to immediately start running those Maharic seals and those scans to clear your bioenergetic field. That's how in tune you're going to be to your natural spiritual body. And so you're just going to know, you're going to have that inner knowing. And then also one thing that I wanted to address was, so say it is, so say you have two different options of structures to pineal induct. So let's say you have the regular flower of life, the geometric flower of life, but then you also have the eternal flower of life, the one that has the natural flows. And I don't actually have a picture for you guys today to show you the difference between these two flowers of lives, but what I want to tell you is that there are labels that have been put on the more geometric flower of life, stating that is a Metatronic flower of life, and it does not represent the natural energetic flows of bioenergetic energy, and it's, you know, it's tied to fallen systems, it's tied to wormholes and all of these things. But again, it's all about the belief structures you hold, okay? So one thing I want you guys to look at, for example, so if you're looking at the flower of life that is more of geometric structure, okay? Let's just look at the differences. This one is more geometrical. This one means more angulation for shadow, right? Because the more angulation something has, the more shadow exists. It's also bending space-time. So it creates a starting point and a stopping point. So it's signifying that there is a life and death cycle. It also adds more rigid variables and probabilities, but it also contains the recipe for materialization. Okay, so because of the polarity that is needed to build matter. Okay, so this is why this symbol might be chosen for particular energy work. Now, the other one that has the more flowing structures of the flower of life, this is considered the eternal. Okay, anything that has flowing natural energetic structures, this is considered the eternal life structures that flow into the next never-ending cycle. So it repeats from a new perspective, a new angulation, and a new trajectory. Okay, so therefore it's showing that there's no stopping point. There's no starting and ending. It's an eternal flow that just keeps on going. So if you are trying to materialize your atoms into eternal life structures, you would want to pineal induct the eternal life flower of life. Okay, so therefore we can pin the two different perceptions together, good or bad, light or dark. But if we know that all the points in all life structures come back to singularity, comes back to primal life substance, comes back to Partiki units, comes back to an omnipolar state where all polarities exist, then, you know, you're kind of looking at it like with this full perception. And so the fear just really starts to dissipate when it comes to all pineal induction of symbol encoding, for me personally. And I hope that this helps you as well in understanding why there really isn't anything overall to fear. And but in the beginning, I do recommend sticking with the Hierophant symbol, okay? So I recommend sticking with the Star of David, the Merkaba, primarily for now, especially in the beginning, because This structure of the Merkaba has been proven in morphogenetic sciences to have the mathematical and geometrical encoding to represent the dimensional structures of the light body and of the human body hologram. And what's so cool about the Merkaba and what's so cool about the Hierophant symbol is it does expand from a 6-dimensional Merkaba into a 15-dimensional Merkaba. Okay, so this expansion does fulfill the 12-strand DNA potentials, the 12-strand DNA activations, and is also a part of Master Templar mechanics, taking one deeper into the conceptualizations of transfiguration, because the more that we evolve in our abilities to do teleportation and telepathy by location, the more that you develop these gifts and abilities, the more that, for one, you're removing more perceptual blockages, but also you're strengthening that DNA, that 12 DNA strand potential, but you're also going into the Master Templar mechanics of true transfiguration, okay? And that's really cool. That's like the coolest thing ever. And so, yes, what I say is that stick with the Hierophant symbol, stick with the Star of David in the beginning, especially if you are skeptical about pineal induction overall, okay? And I just want to say that if you are having any perceptual blockages, if you are having any perceptual blockages from your lower dimensional halves to your higher dimensional halves, if you're not able to see these things, that's okay. What I want you to start doing is just start working on the Maharic seal. The more that you work with the Maharic seal, the more that you will begin Kathara healing, the more that you will begin to start to remove perceptual blockages. So that's technique 5 on Patreon, okay? And this will reawaken the organic imprint for health. So it is a process of embodying more photonic light energy and then clearing, embodying more light energy and then clearing. Every time you clear, you're going to have more space for consciousness to expand in, okay? And that all begins with your 6 senses. And going from 5 senses to 6 senses to 7 senses, all the way to 12 human senses. There are 12 human senses, and I actually have what those are. Of course I do, you guys. You know I got that for you. It's very complex, I tell you. But yes, you know what? I'm going to actually show you guys this a little bit later because I don't have time for it. But yes, there are 12 human senses that take you into the Hova bodies, which are those identity, three-dimensional identities in the horizontal planes, okay? But that's really getting into the anatomy of the light body and understanding of how the oversoul and higher soul identity level integration start to activate within the consciousness. But I do have a technique to begin to awaken and strengthen your perceptual bridge, and that is technique 12 on Patreon, and that is awakening the 6th and 7th senses. Okay, this will help one create a bridge or an arc. You can also call upon the Arcturians to do this. They love helping you with this type of stuff, and it can help you start to gain more clarity. And just keep making higher consciousness the priority every single day. Get up and make higher consciousness your priority, and the materialization of this will begin to unfold. Your intent, your focus, your drive will begin to align your physical reality. And before you know it, you will have aligned your entire life in all ways to higher consciousness. From your financial to your foundation. Before you know it, when you look around, everything in your life will have aligned to higher consciousness. The more that you focus on visualization, the more that you focus on making it a priority in your life. And then the cool thing is you get to step up and start becoming the supporter to others who are also trying to make this a part of their life and who are trying to make this a priority in their life. So you get to become a part of it in all ways. And that's when unity consciousness and collaboration and growth really starts to reach its peak. And yes, so I'm so excited about all of this. You can tell I get really happy and excited to talk about this with you guys. And before you know it, your life will just be aligned to higher consciousness in all ways, the more that it becomes your focus and priority. Okay, guys, so yes, on my next video on Patreon, I will be talking about the Merkaba phases and a lot more details, so check my Patreon for when I drop this video, because it's going to be hot like a tamale. And yes, I'm so excited, you guys. So namaste, and thank you to all my YouTube subscribers who are sticking with me through all the craziness. And just know that I appreciate your love and support on YouTube. If you are, just supporting me on YouTube, that's great. I appreciate your love and support. Don't you go anywhere. I need your love and support. So I just wanted to say namaste, and I will be back soon with another video.